My good people, I've got some beautiful new makeup products on the desk here that I wanted to put to the test. A few things that I have been meaning to give you guys my thoughts on for a hot minute, as well as a few products that have very much piqued my interest. So I've got a lovely little collection here. We're gonna do some specific makeup testing and makeup reviewing today. I'm gonna do a little wear test, let you know how the makeup that we're putting to the test wears throughout the day, as you do. And hopefully as we do that, we're gonna make a beautiful makeup look to cover my sweet little visitor. So let's play with some new makeup, my friends. Let's see how it performs and do a lovely little makeup look on this face. We're gonna start with the base today and address this little lovely moment. And I thought no better time than to test this foundation. I had got this PR package from Patrick Ta. They sent this lovely package along with the new Major Skin Cream Foundation and Finishing Powder Duo. So they sent a couple shades as well as their dual ended brush, which actually feels so soft and looks really beautiful. So I wanted to try this today because I was actually really intrigued by this product, especially if you're someone who is very much on the go, maybe does your makeup on the go or just travels a lot. This is kind of the perfect idea of a travel foundation and powder duo. I love that it has the classic Patrick Ta packaging, which has the cream product cover here, which is so nice for not getting any of your powder product stuck in there. And it also has a finishing powder. Now, what I thought was interesting is just because we recently learned this from the Nikki Makeup master classes, was the difference between a finishing and a setting powder. So I thought it was interesting that this says it's a finishing powder. So technically, as per Nikki Makeup's knowledge, she would not use that as a setting powder. That would be a finishing powder at the end. So I'm actually going to test out a different setting powder today. I'm going to use this later on as a finishing powder, but mainly I'm going to be focusing on the cream because I actually like the video of him applying it. The product looked so beautiful. It says that it has a medium coverage with natural finish. It's supposed to be very breathable and not heavy on the skin. I'm going to use the brush. Let's see how it looks, how it applies, and how it wears throughout the day. Now, Patrick Ta himself explicitly said to make sure that you moisturize and prep the skin. So I did go in with my Embryolisse little moisturizer there, which is nice and thick, especially for these colder months. So I'm going to take the foundation little buffing brush side. I'm going to dip it into here. I mean, it looks pretty. Let's apply it. Let's just apply it to this side where I have all my zitties and we'll blend it in. Oh, wow. Instantly, it's so much more creamy than I thought it was going to be. I thought it would be a little bit more thick because that's just typically what products like this feel like. They just feel a little bit more thick, but yeah, it truly feels so light. And that's actually a really great color match for my skin tone. And it's definitely not full coverage. I'm just gonna keep buffing it and blending it into the skin, but we can still see my little spots here. So we're gonna have to deal with that after, but so far so good. It looks really delicious as we're blending it in. So I'm just gonna go through, I'm gonna apply one layer and then we can see if we can build it up after that. On Sephora, they have the little application video, and in the video, he actually went over with a beauty blender after. So I'm just gonna do the same, apply it as Patrick Ta would. And like after this first layer, it actually looks like my skin. Like I'm literally sitting here staring straight into my pores and I can't see where I've applied this foundation. It is completely undetectable and it does have a really nice like kind of glowing natural finish. So I like what I see. I'm just gonna go ahead and see if I can just build up the coverage a little bit. So I'm gonna do a second layer and just see how that applies, like just really specifically pushing that in to spots like this. Honestly, it looks really, really good. I'm excited to see how this wears throughout the day. Oh my God, ooh, my fingerprints all over that, disgusting. As for the brush, I mean, I have so many brushes that I love. This is definitely like not a necessary product for me. And also if you store your brushes in a canister, I don't love these dual-sided brushes, but if you're someone who just keeps your brushes like in your makeup bag and you're not standing your brushes up in a brush carrier, these are actually great to have a little 2-in-1. That just makes it so much easier for on the go or quick, just daily makeup. Just buff it out, set it with the powder. That's amazing and really soft, really pretty little brush. So I actually was very impressed by my little first use there. So we'll keep that for powder later. I'm gonna go ahead and apply some concealer. I do just wanna build up the coverage on a few of my spots, but I'm gonna try to keep it really, really minimal so that I'm not disturbing any of the cream and we can just really let it settle in and see how it wears throughout the day. So I'm actually going in with my NYX Bear With Me concealer. Is that an appropriate concealer choice for covering up zits? Now that I think about it, maybe not. that's the base applied. Let us move on to some color. Now I have a very exciting, unique little launch from Hindash, and this is the Color Fluid collection. Very interesting. These are a multi-use kind of liquid pigment product that you can use on your lips, cheeks, face, eyes, wherever you want. You can use it as mixing agents with other products, use it as blush, use it as lipstick, use it as eyeshadow, whatever. Love that concept. I think Dejan the Man Xx is another brand that does products like this so well, and I've just loved everything that I've tried from Hindash so far, so I was really excited to get this in, and I want to put them to the test today. So I intend to use perhaps all 3 of these shades here, and I want to see if we can do kind of like a full face color moment. So the lovely little fact sheet here says, a little goes a long way, made to mix with your products for a soft flush of color or on their own for full color impact. Think of this as your vegan full pigment paint for wherever you like. Mix with your base products for custom blush, contour, and bronze tones. Tap on lips for soft matte color. Use as full eyeshadow, primer, or liner. So let's do that. Let's have a little play. These 2 shades here, Carve and Thorn. This is a lighter brown and a deeper brown. I kind of thought this would be perfect for like a little liquid contour bronzer moment. And then I want to use Hardest for the cheeks and the lips. And I thought that would be very pretty little combo. So let's go ahead and play. This is the shade Carve. Lovely. Love the little packaging. Nice little doe foot applicator here. I'm just going to apply this on my hand first to see how it looks, and then I think I'll work from my hand before applying it to my face. This is the shade Thorn. Really beautiful. Like, this is going to be such a beautiful eyeshadow. Both of these, actually. So I think that Carve will be pigmented enough for me on my face. I'm just going to go ahead with my brush and straighten with Carve and just apply that onto the cheek, because this is a really nice, like, more cool toned, lighter beige brown, which I think is just a perfect contour shadow mimicking shade. Yeah, it's super light. Oh my God, that applies beautifully. Taking a little bit more of that onto my forehead, just where I would apply any of my cream contour or bronzer. I'm just going around the perimeters of my face. This shade is stunning. I might have to use this as an eye base as well. If you can use it as a primer, then I think we're just gonna have to play with this Carve shade and let that be all of the things today. Using a little bit of that on my nose as well for a nice light contour. Wow, these are seamless. Like, the blend is seamless. It's super light. Obviously, you can add in a little bit of the Thorn shade if you want it to be a little bit more intense, but I actually love how soft and natural this is, and just the shade in particular is the perfect color match for me. Which, speaking of color match, I just realized I didn't tell you the shade of the Patrick Dot. I used Fair 3. I'm so sorry. So I'm just gonna keep going in with Carve, and I'm just gonna apply that onto the eyelids while we're here as well, and we can just let that kind of settle in and do its thing, and we'll use that as kind of like a cream shadow slash primer to start off the eyes. This is so look at how easily that's blending out. Oh my goodness. I can't say too much too soon, but wow, this is just a seamless application. It's perfect. Wow. That was such a joy to apply. Let's go in with the shade Hardest and try using this as a cream blush. And lip. Let's do lip as well. So I'm taking that in the palm of my hand because I don't want this to be too pigmented. I just want to start with light layers and see how it applies. So I'm taking my Refro 4 brush, which is stained, by the way. If you ever look at this and think, wow, it's so dirty, why aren't you washing your brushes? I am. I have just totally stained it pink forever, it appears. So let's go in with the shade Hardest and just softly apply. Wow, yep. Perfect shade. How beautiful. After I apply a cream blush, I usually just go back in with my beauty blender or with my foundation brush, whatever you used, and I just kind of run it back on top to make sure that there's no lines. Just make sure it all looks nice and diffused here. Beautiful, soft blush shade. I want to use this color on my lips as well, so I want to start with a lip pencil. I'm just taking this little NYX Nude Beige lip pencil to start, and I'm just going to use that to trace the lips. I've been using the shade Natural from NYX, but I'm kind of loving this like more cool tone train, so I actually picked this shade up, and it is really beautiful. It's a really beautiful color. It's so funny, I'm such a lover of warm, summery, bronzy tones, but I actually find like this winter I'm just really embracing the whole cool tone train, but I'm loving it. I do feel like it just suits me more, and it's making me feel a lot more like comfortable in my pale skin. But obviously, like when I have a tan on or in the summer months, it just like I want to crack out all the bronzy things, but when I'm pale, like just finding that happy go-to look is like, oh, I'm just loving these cool tones, truly. And this lip pencil, Nude Beige, oh baby. consider this a new favorite. Look at the color. It's so soft. It's soft. I love it so much. Okay, so taking the shade Hardest on the lips, I'm just gonna dab this into the center. And I think because it is ultra pigmented, I'm just gonna take a little fluffy eyeshadow brush to blend this out. Oh, how pretty is that? It's so nice on the lips. Because it says matte color, I'm just really curious to see like how matte it will get. And if it does get too matte, we can always just go over and apply a gloss on top, which is nice. I do really love the versatility that you get when working with pigments. I think this is amazing to be able to apply these products on all areas of the face. Just makes it so easy for those everyday monochrome looks. Just going back over with the lip pencil because I kind of drew over here a little bit. Oops, I was just a little bit messy there. So right away, this is way too matte for me on my lips. I feel like I'm being sucked away. So I'm just gonna go over top with a little gloss. This is the Rhode Peptide Lip Treatment. This is just the plain unscented one. I'm just gonna go with this on my finger and just dab it in the center of my lips to add a little bit of moisture, add some hydration, see how that goes. It's so interesting how matte it is on the lips, but how like soft and light and airy feeling it looks on the cheeks and the eyes. So I think that will be a cheek and eye pigment for me. I probably wouldn't use this on my lips again, or you could use it just to mix it in with the gloss, kind of like how it looks on my finger right now. You could just take a clear gloss and add a little dab of that, mix it in, and that would be a really pretty thing. But by itself, yeah, definitely too matte for me on my lips, but with that gloss, that is a beautiful natural color and it matches the cheeks. How cute! So now that we've applied all of our cream products, I do want to go ahead and set the under eyes, and I have a new powder that I wanted to test out today, and this is a new one from Laura Mercier, and it's actually their translucent loose setting powder, but the ultra blur version. And Laura Mercier, like their setting powder, their translucent setting powder is like a cult favorite classic product from them. So the fact that they came out with the ultra blur version I thought would be very interesting, and probably something that I would most likely use under my eyes. Like I've been loving and using my Givenchy powder, so I wanted to see how this looks and how it wears under the eyes. So I'm gonna put this to the test today. Little ultra blur powder. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I've got a fresh triangle puffy puff that I'm going to use. Do the same process, and we're gonna use that to set underneath the eyes. Make sure that we have no product buildup, so I'm just pressing into my lines a little bit, making sure it's all nice and even and smooth there, and let's see how it looks. So instantly upon application, like it's very blurring, don't get me wrong. I still feel like the Givenchy one just has that extra, I don't know what it is. I don't know what the magic is about the Givenchy one, but there is just that extra oomph that I can't really describe that you would just have to see. But this does look beautiful. Huge things to know, obviously, if you are wary of certain ingredients. This is talc free, and it's also fragrance free, which is a nice option because so many of the products like the Givenchy powder, like the Huda Beauty powders, they do have a heavy fragrance to them. So if you are very sensitive to that, this is talc and fragrance free, so that's a huge difference. It's also like almost $20 cheaper than the Givenchy one. So like obviously I'll have to give you my final thoughts once I've tested this out more, and also when I'm not testing a new base, because I do think I have to use this with my very like wet dewy products that I use on a daily basis to give you my full thoughts, but not bad so far. We'll keep playing. I'll keep you guys posted on that, and we'll see how it wears today. But that's the little just under eyes done. Let's go back to the eyes. I know we technically already put the little primer. It's been sitting, setting, doing its thing, but I really wanted to use a specific eyeshadow palette because I know I was very curious about it. I asked you guys what your thoughts were, and I've seen so much love for this eyeshadow palette, like on the internet, mainly being TikTok. And I really didn't want to get it. I'm like, listen, I do not need another eyeshadow palette, but just for review purposes, just to see what the hype was about, I definitely wanted to see what the people were loving so much about it. So I did end up picking the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette. I actually got it after the Sephora sale because I was so unsure if I wanted to spend the cash, because like, I mean, everything, like the makeup prices obviously just keep going up and up and up. I look at the prices across the board on Sephora and I'm like, holy mother of Pete. But eyeshadow specifically, it's definitely a huge spend. When I look at an eyeshadow palette, if I'm reviewing an eyeshadow palette, I want it to be from the standpoint of if you don't already have a palette. Because I think if you have a perfect go-to palette, then you don't need any other eyeshadows. There's never gonna be like that much different in a formula or the application of a product level. Like all the eyeshadows pretty much apply just as well as the other. If there's like a really bad eyeshadow palette, obviously we wanna know. Like if something's like real patchy, we're gonna let you know. But for the most part, with palettes like this, these more neutral palettes, I look at it like, can this be my one and only palette? If I were to get rid of all my makeup and have one eyeshadow palette in my makeup bag, is that gonna suffice? Because that's pretty much it. Any other palettes that you buy, you two are with me and we're just collecting and hoarding more of the same. So I wanted to see how this palette kind of stacked up next to my everyday palettes, and I was like, surely I have another palette that's exactly the same as this in my collection. But I was actually surprised to see that this collection of shades is actually quite unique in my collection. I had thought by looking at it online when I ordered it, I thought that it would be the closest to my Natasha Denona Glam palette, but they're actually completely different. Like this is actually much more warm than I thought it would be, and also the glitters appear to be very extra glittery. So the closest palette in my collection to it was actually the Patrick Ta Major Dimension eyeshadow palette, and you can see that the mattes actually correlate quite well to one another. The shimmers in the Makeup by Mario palette are a little bit more on that cool tone side, whereas these are much more like warm gold, rose gold, and obviously like the Patrick Ta Major Dimension is one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes ever because you do get the two creams in there as well. So I think if you're buying like one neutral everyday eyeshadow palette, this is one of my favorites. And also with both of these, what I don't like is that you don't get a black. And even though I'm not a huge eyeshadow wearer, I love to have the option of black. I love to add it onto my lash line and whatnot. So for a neutral everyday go-to palette, I think that both of these could have used a black, and then it would have been like a complete palette in my eyes. Either way, the offerings do look beautiful. The glitters look stunning. Here's just a few of them applied on the back of my hand. And what I like about this is that it's not chunky glitters. It's not going to be falling off of your eyeballs for an everyday makeup, but you're still getting that stunning like red carpet glow. Just like so many of the eyeshadow toppers that I love, like the Shiseido Aura Do, like that's the vibe that I'm getting from these stunning little sparkle shimmers in here. So now with all that being said, let's apply some of this on the eyes. Let's start with this one right here, a lovely little gray, which actually is quite unique. You don't get that in a lot of these like everyday neutral palettes. I quite love that you have the very cool toned option, and I'm just gonna run that into the crease. I think this is gonna go so nicely with my little gray suit vibes today. I'm not doing anything crazy as per usual, but I do just wanna have a little bit of a glowing moment, making it all diffused and seamless and kind of like a galaxy. I'm just gonna take a clean blending brush and run that over as well. I'm gonna do this in between every single step, even if I don't necessarily show it every time. Just know I'm doing this in between every step, almost always. Taking a smaller blending brush, I'm also gonna use that on the lower lash line. Now let's deepen up the eye, going in with this shade. I'm taking a MAC 217 just for a little bit more of like a pointed specific blend. And I'm gonna use this just right on that outer V area of the lid, just blending that towards the lash line and into the crease, making sure not to go too high. I just really want that depth to be out here. I'm gonna use that same brush and dip into a little bit of this pink, which I think is very cute, a cute little addition to this palette. And I'm just gonna rub that like right into the center of the lid, kind of joining the lid and that deeper shadow that we just applied. Very cute. I like this color a lot. I actually think this would be really beautiful on its own all over the lid. That would be a stunning little soft blush pinky look. Now I'm gonna take a liner brush, dipping into the deepest shade, and I'm just gonna press that, really tapping off any of the excess powder there. And I just wanna tap that into the lash line, going to about the middle of the eye. And then I also wanna take just a tiny bit of this just right onto that inner corner of the lash line, just to add a little bit of definition right there. Let's actually do the same just on that lower lash line. I'm literally pressing the tiniest little bit just right along those lashes. And then without adding any extra product, I'm just kind of gonna pull that out. I'm not like creating a winged liner or anything, but I'm just gonna bring that shadow out a little bit, just a little whoop, just a soft whisper of a line. I'm not getting a good blend right there. I don't know why that like deeper shade is just like truly sitting there. So could it be the color fluid that we put on before? I don't know, but that is not blending out right there and it's driving me crazy. So let's go in with the shimmers. I really love the look of this shimmer right in the middle. I think it looks so stunning, so unique. It's like gray and pink and beautiful and oh, that's so pretty. Like truly the winners in these palettes are the shimmers. I think that's the biggest standout. Like this shade in particular. Oh my God, he literally needs to come out with that by itself. This is truly stunning. And finally, I'm just gonna take a little bit of this lighter cream shade and a little shader brush. And I'm just gonna apply that on the brow bone. This isn't gonna do much, but it's just gonna give a little hint of highlight to the brow bone and also the inner corner. And I think that's gonna be really pretty, especially because we put that deeper shadow on the inside, like right along the lash line, just adding that little subtle brightness right there. I think it's gonna be really pretty. Actually, that's a really nice shade to do like a matte eyeshadow look with. But yeah, that shimmer, that's the winner in the palette for me. Is that worth buying the palette? I don't think so. I think if you have anything similar, you're not gonna be missing anything, but if you're someone who really loves to play with like gorgeous, cool toned shimmers in particular, I do like that this one gives you something other than gold, because I feel like gold and more of those warm tone shimmers are more common in neutral palettes like this. So I do think that that is unique to this palette, but the mattes, like just as a first impression, weren't anything to write home about, but obviously I'll continue using this and let you know my final thoughts as we play. But I'll leave the eyes there. I'm gonna go ahead and apply some mascara. I'm gonna take my Tom Ford Extreme Badass Black Mascara because I did pick this up during the sale and wanted to have it as my like more voluminous, like really intense fluffy lash option. And remains to be just as good as she always has been, this stunning mascara. That's the mascara applied. I'm gonna do a nice little spritz of my setting spray. This is the Benefit Professional. And then let's go back to the Patrick Ta Duo and the brush and dip into this finishing powder and do a nice little dusting of this, just tapping off a lot of the excess. Do a dusting of this on the skin. The powder side is so soft on this brush. Do I look finished? So this is the finished makeup look. I'm actually really loving what I'm seeing so far. I do feel a little bit extra dry and tight around my mouth. I might be taking a little dose of MAC Fix Plus throughout the day, but so far so good. I think this is like a really stunning, just natural, really lovely everyday makeup look, and the products have applied beautifully so far. I'm really happy with how the makeup look turned out, but I'm going to keep this on for the rest of the day. I've got a big filming day ahead of me, so I'm gonna do a little check-in with you guys at the end of the night, and we can see how it wears throughout the day. So toodaloo, see you in a few hours. It is 10:53 p.m. This has truly been melting on my face all day long. Look at that, nice and up close. Ooh, baby. Yeah, it didn't last great. I am certainly very, very dry. This is like all peeled and cracked away. My under eyes, oh my God. Yeah, I look like a hot mess. I look like a hot mess. The eyeshadow creased a little bit, but honestly, like the sparkles have remained, which I'm very impressed with. Every time I do these little late night check-ins, I feel like I always leave it too long because there's just, I don't think any makeup would have lasted on me this long, but obviously like this was very much an extra dry moment. If I'm wearing my like very, very hydrating, dewy things, like it just doesn't look like this at the end of the day. And I was also driving a lot today, and when I'm driving at night, I'm like blinking like this, and my mascara just goes all over me, and I just look like a hot mess, truly. So this wasn't the best indicator of how this makeup performed for sure, so I'm so sorry about that. But honestly, it was looking really nice like the few hours after I filmed, and then I think the day just got too long, and now I'm very much expired. So we'll just hold the camera nice and far away. We won't get up too close so you can't see any of the finite details, but there's my check-in, guys. Here's what my makeup looks like at the end of the night. I'll continue testing each of the products individually, but here's a little first impression and a first wear test, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on what you thought of the makeup products, how they looked. I was honestly very thrilled with my makeup when I first did it. I looked in the mirror and I was like, ooh, I like this. I like this vibe we've got going on. So I'll keep playing and I'll keep you guys posted. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you very soon. Well, tomorrow, because it's that time of year again. Sorry. I'll see you all tomorrow for a new video. Bye!